Hello, I'm Greg Stewart with the Broward MPO, and today we're doing a special edition of Let's Talk Transportation. And I'm joined by...
My name is Diana Alarcon, and I am the Director over the Department of Transportation and Multimodal Infrastructure in Nashville-Davidson County.
My name is David Zipper. I am a contributing writer at Bloomberg, as well as at various other publications focused on transportation, and the co-host of Look Both Ways with David and Wes, a transportation-focused podcast.
Which is a great podcast. If you have a chance, make sure you find it. David, I'm going to start directly with you. What is it on AV that we need to be focusing on? And didn't you just recently do an article?
I've done many recent articles about autonomous vehicles because I find it to be a really important topic for thinking about the future of cities. But a few months ago, I wrote a story in Vox looking at how cities could today take steps to sort of mitigate some of the potential downsides of robotaxis as they scale. So, for example, I think it's a really good idea to install automatic enforcement to nudge the AV companies to obey traffic laws. I think it's also a really smart idea to look at congestion pricing or manage lanes, some sort of policy to basically ensure that if robotaxis scale, they're not going to slow everybody else down on the road, because that would be a problem. That was a story I did just a few months ago.
That's awesome. Diana,
Yes.
as he's talking about that, how would that affect a municipal government?
Well, enforcement, I think, automatic enforcement is something we would love to see. Our state legislation doesn't allow us. However, it does allow it in school zones. So even though you can only start small, I think there's an advantage of starting small where you can show how the two are tied, the advantage of it, that it would be better for it to be at a larger scale. So I think there's some really great opportunities there to how that can actually be, can collate together.
So to the both of you, if we have an opportunity to do a school zone and actually maybe report back, if that report comes back and shows an increase in safety, a reduction in crashes, a reduction in fatalities, do you think that would be viable to give to the state legislatures to see that maybe they could go beyond the school zone?
I do feel, yes, that data, we talk about in today's world, everything needs a measurement tied to it. That's some great measurements. There are school zones in the downtown core where you're seeing a lot of congestion, and maybe you have, like for Nashville, because the pedestrian is our biggest mode because of our entertainment district. So the fact that I have schools that are downtown that I can actually put up an enforcement mechanism where I can have the focus on the pedestrian, pull that data together, and share that as to why we need to think about expanding it, especially at key places where we're seeing major crashes that lead to fatalities or serious injuries involving our most vulnerable users, I think would be just a huge benefit. And I would be very interested, I have to throw something his way, but I'd be very interested because how you would best frame that to get the interest of that elected official.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking when you asked that question.
I had to ask that.
That was going to be my next question.
Well, the first step, I'm not sure I would go straight to the elected official once I have that data showing that speeding is dramatically down around school zones once you've got the pilot going. I would actually go to the media first, because so much of the media coverage around automatic enforcement is about how many tickets are issued to drivers. It's just penalizing drivers. It's a burden on drivers. And unfortunately, there's not so much of a narrative around the safety benefits and advantages of automatic enforcement. And if you can demonstrate that it's now safer for your kids near their school, that's a great story. Yeah. It changes the narrative. Elected officials read the paper. I think that's actually how you build support and really change the perception of this, what I genuinely think is a life-saving technology.
I like that approach a lot. I really do, because you're starting at the ground roots level. And I think I have found, as long as I'm including the community at a ground roots level in the discussion of what's going to be affecting all of us, I have a better buy-in as the initiative grows.
So I have one last thing.
Yeah.
And since we're talking politics, the reauthorization bill is coming out. Mm-hmm. And we all benefit from the federal government providing transportation dollars, local governments, state governments, regional governments. What would you like the reauthorization bill actually to focus on? And what would be a viable way to work with our state departments of transportation so they're not threatened by any funding changes?
I want to think on that because I have many things I want out of it. So I'll let you go first, but I want to think on that a little bit more and kind of prioritize that in my head for everybody.
That's a gigantic question.
Yeah.
And there are many, many, many aspects of it that I think need to be addressed. I'm just going to focus on one. We're having this conversation at a safety summit. And I will say that one aspect of our national transportation system that is woefully inadequate is our vehicle safety standards.
Right.
Because they say nothing whatsoever about software, which is increasingly powering our cars, nothing about autonomous technology at all. They say nothing about pedestrians or people in bicycles, and pedestrians and cyclists are dying at record rates in the US. So I think that it makes a lot of sense for Congress, when they put this bill together with reauthorization, to emphasize the need to have regulations around software and to manage software, and also to consider the well-being of those outside of motor vehicles, not just inside of them. And I think that's a message very powerfully coming from MPOs and local officials across the country.
And Diana, before you respond to this, give you a couple more seconds. So if we were able to help in Washington tailor the next phase, that next reauthorization bill, focusing on IT functions and as well as the safety side of things, that would be something, do you think, would resonate not just at the local government level, but at the state and federal level?
I think it could. I think it definitely could. And there's going to be IT elements in reauthorization.
Right.
There always are. But usually what ends up happening is you have lobbyists who are pushing to just throw money at supporting IT innovation. And that's okay. That makes sense. But we need to make sure that we build capacity in our agencies and within the rules to make sure that we're protecting the well-being of citizens.
Key point, capacities of available. Diana.
So, our mayor came in 2 years ago, and a year ago he did a really big push to actually get a referendum passed where we have dedicated funding for transit. And he did it based on what we call the 4 S's: signals, safety, service, and sidewalks. And signals kind of led that, where the dollars are being spent on improving, because what many local governments, counties do not have is actually the technology in their signals that allow for that data to be pulled to create that more safe environment. So I always think about what's the root cause. Nashville is a Vision Zero, Davidson County is a Vision Zero county. We are about getting to zero fatalities. We are looking at and we are more focused on the fatalities that are happening for the pedestrian and the bicyclist, because they're the most vulnerable. But I do feel that with all of the other disruptions that have been brought into our world of transportation over the past decade, we as local government and county government have got to get more up to speed on how to use that technology, that it benefits every industry and also mainly benefits our community.
So basically, and we didn't talk about this before, consensus between the two of you is about capacity and ability, which we need to do the technology piece. So that's what I would say, we go to Washington and have that conversation.
I think that's right. We really need that.
I agree with that.
I want to thank you both.
Thank you.
This was fun.
Pleasure.
Yes.
We'll hopefully see you again. We'll do this. Diana, it's always wonderful having you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the summit.
Will do.
Thank you guys very, very much.